Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an ancient concept that's secretly powering some of the biggest successes in our modern world. It's this invisible force, and I'm telling you, once you learn to see it, you'll see everything differently.
Okay, so let's jump right in with a modern mystery, one that actually reveals a timeless truth. And yeah, it involves a company I'm pretty sure you've heard of.
We all know their phones, right? Their computers, those iconic designs. But what's the invisible thing, the real secret sauce that drives their insane success? What makes people so incredibly loyal?
See, it's not just about the glass and metal in your hand or the lines of code on the screen. The real magic, it's the feeling you get when you use it. That smooth, intuitive, almost effortless interaction. That is the unseen force that creates all the value. Now, this idea of a powerful, unseen force, it's not some new marketing gimmick. Nope. It's a super ancient principle, it has a name, and we're about to make it totally clear. Ancient wisdom calls this the Tao. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. It's the universe's fundamental operating system. You know, the background code that's running literally everything, whether we notice it or not. And what's so fascinating is that the original texts, they're totally upfront about this. They actually describe the Tao as vague and elusive, basically admitting it's hard to pin down. But here's the kicker. They argue that its subtlety is exactly where its power comes from. To make this a little more real for you, think about dark matter. Scientists tell us it makes up, like 95% of the universe? We can't see it, we can't touch it, but we see its effects everywhere. It's what holds entire galaxies together. The Tao is kind of like that, an invisible influence with huge observable results. Or think about Wi-Fi, right? There are invisible waves just filling the room you're in right now, carrying tons of information, creating connection. You can't point to it, but you definitely know when it's working and when it's not. The Tao is like the ultimate invisible network.
Okay, so this sounds like a pretty cool philosophical idea, but where else can we actually see this principle at work? Well, it turns out it is everywhere in the natural world.
Take the wind, for example. You can't see the wind itself, right? You only see what it does. This invisible force is powerful enough to carve and shape massive sand dunes, creating these incredible, visible structures out of, just moving air. Or look at DNA. This tiny, microscopic code, totally unseeable, contains the whole, complex blueprint to build a living, breathing creature. The substance itself is invisible to our eyes, but the result is, the entire visible world of biology.
And then you've got gravity.
You can't hold it, you can't put it in a jar. And yet, this completely unseen force reliably keeps our whole solar system in this perfect, predictable dance. It just goes to show, the most fundamental forces are often the ones we can't see at all. And this just nails the point. Once you start to recognize this pattern, the unseen force creating the seen result, you can start to understand how things really work on a much, much deeper level. From nature to business, it's the same pattern. Okay, so here's the big question. How do we go from just, understanding this idea to actually using it? How can you apply the power of the unseen in your own life? It really boils down to 3 practices. First, you start learning to map the invisible systems all around you. So instead of just looking at a company's profits, you focus on its culture. Second, you learn to trust what emerges. When you're stuck, instead of just pushing harder, you pause and you let the answer surface on its own. And finally, you check everything by the results. Does the outcome actually line up with the principles you started with? And this isn't just some abstract theory. The best people in their fields, they do this instinctively. Experienced doctors, they use their gut feelings. That's just them recognizing subtle, unseen patterns to catch a diagnosis that other people might miss. Or master farmers, they can read the invisible health of the soil and the little shifts in the weather to grow way healthier crops.
Okay, get this, because this is where it gets really mind-bending. This ancient idea is showing up in modern science. Physics talks about quantum fields as these invisible potentials that reality just emerges from. And fractal mathematics shows how simple, hidden rules can create infinite, complex beauty. It's like science is just now developing a new language for the same ancient wisdom, that formless principles create the world we actually see.
So, we followed this invisible thread from ancient wisdom all the way to modern success, through nature and even into cutting-edge science. So, what does this mean for us right now? It means we have a powerful new lens for looking at the world.
If there's one thing you take away from this explainer, let it be this. The most powerful forces are almost always the ones you can't see. In leadership, it's knowing that a company's culture is way more powerful than its org chart. In your own health, it's understanding that your invisible gut biome matters more than the latest fad diet. In innovation, it's getting that timeless principles will always outlast fleeting trends. And in relationships, well, it means that the unseen foundation of trust is worth more than 1,000 promises.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. As you go about your day, what powerful unseen force in your work, in your health, in your relationships are you going to start paying attention to? What's the operating system you're going to choose to finally see?